saving my cousin from her toxic boyfriend, but now she is pissed.
Luna and I had always been more than just cousins. We were best friends, partners in crime, each other's biggest supporters. Growing up, our bond became a sanctuary, especially for her. I knew from an early age that Luna's life wasn't like mine. She lived in a house that was supposed to be a home, but it often felt more like a battleground. Her parents, both bitterly unhappy but unwilling to divorce, stayed together for her sake. However, what they didn't realize was that their constant fighting, their emotional distance, created a void in Luna that no amount of staying together could fill. I remember how she used to stay over at my place when things got too bad at home. My parents would take her in without hesitation, and we'd curl up under a blanket, talking late into the night about our dreams, our futures, and all the places we wanted to escape to. Luna had this way of making even the worst situations seem like temporary detours on the road to something better. But as we grew older, I began to notice that her optimism came with a cost. Luna was always searching for love, real, genuine, unconditional love,
the kind she never received at home.
But the problem was that she kept looking in the wrong places. She had a string of short-lived relationships throughout high school and college, falling hard and fast for guys who never treated her the way she deserved. But she held on to them because, for those fleeting moments, they gave her something her parents never did: attention. I watched her heart get broken over and over again. Each time, she'd come back to me, crying on my shoulder, vowing never to trust another guy again. But then, like clockwork, she'd meet someone new, and the cycle would repeat itself. It was painful to see, but I was always there for her, picking up the pieces. Then came Louis. Louis was different, or at least, that's what Luna told me. I remember the first time she introduced him to me. He was charming, polite, and seemed genuinely interested in Luna. For the first time, I had hoped that maybe she'd finally found someone who would treat her right. He wasn't like the other guys. He had a steady job, came from a good family, and most importantly, he made Luna feel special. For the first year of their relationship, things seemed perfect. Luna was glowing, and I was happy for her. But as time went on, I started noticing things. Little things at first. She'd flinch when someone touched her unexpectedly. Her once bright smile became more forced, like she was trying to keep up an act. But it wasn't until I saw the red marks on her wrist that I knew something was really wrong. It was a summer day, and Luna and I were hanging out at my place, just like old times. She reached for something on the table, and her sleeve slid up, revealing angry red imprints on her skin. My heart dropped.
Luna, what happened to your wrist?
I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She quickly pulled her sleeve down, brushing it off.
Oh, it's nothing. I just got caught on something.
I didn't believe her, but I let it go for the moment. I didn't want to push her, not yet. But after that day, I started noticing more marks. A bruise on her arm, a faint handprint on her cheek. Every time I asked, she'd come up with some excuse: a fall, an accident, anything but the truth. But I knew what was happening. Louis was hurting her, and she was too blinded by her love for him to see it. I couldn't sit back and do nothing, so I confronted her one evening when we were alone.
Luna, please, you have to tell me what's going on. I've seen the bruises. I know Louis is hurting you.
Her face went pale, and for a moment, I thought she might break down and tell me everything. But instead, she shook her head and tried to laugh it off.
You're overreacting. Louis doesn't mean to hurt me.
He just gets a little angry sometimes. But it's not like that. He loves me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could she defend him? How could she justify what he was doing? But I knew this wasn't about logic. Luna was trapped in the same cycle she had been in her whole life, mistaking control for care, mistaking abuse for love. I didn't know what else to do, so I went to my parents for advice. I thought maybe they could help, that they'd know what to say.
But instead of giving me a solution,
They told Luna's parents about what was going on, and that's when everything spiraled out of control. Her parents, who were always too wrapped up in their own issues to properly care for Luna, reacted the only way they knew how. They grounded her, tried to keep her away from Louis, and scolded her for getting involved with him in the first place. It was the worst possible reaction. Luna felt betrayed, cornered, and when I went to see her, hoping to comfort her, she refused to even look at me. "I can't believe you told them," she said, her voice cold and distant. "You ruined everything. Louis and I were fine, and now he's gone, because of you." I tried to explain, to tell her I was only trying to protect her, but it didn't matter. In her eyes, I was the one who had betrayed her. I was the reason she was miserable.
She didn't speak to me after that.
Weeks turned into months, and every time I tried to reach out, she shut me down. I thought about her every day, wondering if she was okay, if she was safe. I'd heard rumors that Louis had moved on, that he was dating someone new. I prayed that whoever she was, she wouldn't suffer the same fate as Luna. 3 months passed, and then, out of nowhere, I got the news. Louis had been arrested.
He had been caught cheating on his new girlfriend, and when she confronted him, he beat her.
It was all over the neighborhood, the kind of small-town gossip that spreads like wildfire.
When Luna heard, her parents told her, and I think that's when she finally saw the truth.
Louis wasn't the caring, loving boyfriend she had convinced herself he was.
He was a monster, and she had been lucky to escape him when she did.
A few days later, Luna called me. I could hear the hesitation in her voice, the guilt.
"I'm sorry,"
she said, her voice small and fragile.
"I shouldn't have blamed you. You were right about Louis. I didn't want to see it."
I was still hurt by the things she had said to me, the way she had pushed me away when all I wanted was to help. But hearing her admit the truth, hearing her take responsibility, it was enough to begin healing the rift between us. We met up later that week, and for the first time in months we talked, really talked.
She told me how ashamed she felt for staying with Louis, for defending him. She told me how she had been so desperate for someone to love her that she ignored all the red flags.
And I told her that none of it was her fault, that she deserved so much more than what she had settled for.
Luna also told me that her parents had started going to family therapy.
It was slow progress, but they were trying, for her sake. I could tell that she was hopeful, that maybe for the first time in her life, she believed that things could get better. As we sat together, talking like we used to, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I had almost lost her to that toxic relationship, but she had made it out. She was stronger now, more aware of her own worth. And while our relationship had taken a hit, we were rebuilding it brick by brick.
Looking back, I don't regret what I did.
It was painful, and it cost me our bond for a time, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Sometimes, loving someone means doing the hard thing, even when they don't want you to, even when they hate you for it. I just hope that Luna can find someone who sees her for who she really is, someone who loves her the way she deserves to be loved.
And until then, I'll be here, just like I always have been, ready to pick up the pieces if she ever needs me again.
Update.
It's been months since Luna and I reconnected, and things have slowly been getting better. She's been focusing on herself, working on rebuilding her self-esteem and learning to love herself again.
And I'm proud of her.
Her family therapy sessions seem to be helping too.
Her parents are still together, but they're making an effort to change the way they communicate, to be more present for Luna. It's not perfect, but it's progress.
As for me, I've learned that sometimes being a good friend, a good cousin, means being the villain in someone's story for a little while.
But in the end, if it means they're safe and happy, it's worth it. Luna tells me now that she's thankful for what I did, even though it took her a long time to see it. And that's all I ever wanted, for her to be okay. I don't know what the future holds for Luna, but I do know one thing. She's a fighter, and she's stronger than she gives herself credit for. She'll be okay. And I'll always be here for her, no matter what.